What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Play It Out podcast, a competitive-focused Age of Sigmar podcast. I'm here, as always, with James, fellow small board enjoyer. James, how you doing?
I've got a very average-sized board. I'll have you know.
I
I've
enjoy
googled. I've googled it. I know what it is.
Oh, so we enjoy the big boards. We enjoy the small boards. Any size board,
100%.
I'm in.
We like all the boards.
We like all the boards.
We do not.
My name is
discriminate against
Kyle,
boards.
aka Creator Gator, and welcome again to the podcast. We are going to be talking about the new format that they've released to us, which is Spearhead, and we both are excited about it.
Big hype.
We are big hyped. There's a lot of stuff that we'll get into and discuss, but it's one of those things where we are really excited to have a format that is a little less pressure. And a little more constructed than you would say like open would be. You know, it's something that still gets that like tactical depth while also not being 3 hours and I have to think about it the entire day. You know what I mean? So they've released 2 articles about Spearhead. I have a little slide ready. I'm going to tell everybody basically what the gist of those 2 articles were and exactly what we know for sure. So what we know is we're playing on a 30 by 22 board size, which is the Kill Team or Warcry board. Technically, it's 20. Yeah, small.
I mean, average size. Completely average size.
Technically, 22.4 inches. I'm just going to round down to 30 to 22 and hope nobody notices. They confirmed the Vanguard boxes that we have out for most of the factions are included in the Spearhead. So this Seraphon Vanguard that just came out, they have Spearhead rules.
You mean the new, more expensive Start Collecting boxes, Kyle?
Exactly. Yeah, the new, more expensive, less models Start Collecting boxes. They also said if you build it like the box art, you're good to go, which in this format and most formats with Age of Sigmar, nobody cares about WYSIWYG, so build the models how you want them and play them with the rules that you want them, and I doubt anybody is going to care.
I like it.
Yep, me too. The other thing they confirmed is it's 4 turns long, so 1 turn longer than the big game, which is fine by me. I think with the amount of units that we're dealing with, I think if you go into 5 or 6 turns, then you're quickly going to be playing with no models. So I'm okay with that. They confirmed how the scoring is. It's hold 1, hold 2, hold more. Each one of those is 1 single point, and then each battle tactic is also 1 single point. Speaking of battle tactics, for battle tactics, we have a 12-card objective deck, or 12-card battle tactic deck, which has the commands or the battle tactics. We'll get into that when we discuss those specific cards. There's also a 6-card twist deck where you draw at the beginning of each round, and we'll cover that when we show off those twist cards. They also confirmed that each army will have 2 regiment abilities and 4 enhancements per army. And then at the start of the game, each person will choose which ones they want to apply to their army. So you get to pick 1 regiment ability and 1 enhancement. And then they confirmed that there's slightly different war scrolls. They also showed us some of the war scrolls. They confirmed there's no magic, battle tactics, or command modules because the magic is going to be printed on the war scroll, and the battle tactics commands are printed on the cards. And then there's a very heavy underdog mechanic that we'll cover, and there's still the possibility of a double turn. And they confirmed if you want to take a double turn, you will not be able to draw from your battle tactics / command deck that turn. Unless you're the extreme underdog, which is you're losing by more than 4. So
you have the big suck, and then you get a lot of buffs.
Yep, yeah. I kind of like that because in the big game, it's like you just never take the double turn. That's kind of what the rules say. Just never do the double turn. This one, it's like, okay, you can use the double turn if you are so far behind where you're trying to catch up, instead of like, I'm using the double turn to solidify my opponent's defeat. I'm trying to get back in the game, which is okay by me.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the first article where they show off the battle tactic deck. So they just kind of give us a nice little infographic for how this works. 12 cards. The first battle round, each person's going to draw 3. And each person has their own 12-card deck. And then subsequent battle rounds, you can discard any number of cards that you want, and then you draw back up to 3. More likely, you're probably going to be playing them, not discarding them.
Yeah, because they're very powerful and impactful. You get to, you can either, there's 2 things on each card. It's, battle tactic or command ability. So,
Yep.
they gave us a couple examples of that, but it's one of those things that you want to, it's very much like a builder spender. You know what I mean? It's like you can't score points if you're just, or you can score points, but you can't score secondary points if you're just using these like super powerful command abilities. But
Yep.
you know,
What do you want to walk us through the first cards that they show on the first article where
Yeah,
they
sure.
have the take the flanks and the Dracothian Dais?
Yeah. So essentially, like exactly kind of what I was just saying is the cards are kind of broken into these two sections, right? And it's like the battle tactic you could score with it, or the command you can use if you burn the card, right? The first one they give us is take the battle tactic is take the flanks, right? You can leave this battle tactic at the end of your turn if there are any friendly units within 3 inches of the short battlefield edge, right? So that's another point you can score on your turn. But if you choose to use the command ability on this turn, you get the redeploy command, which is pick a friendly unit that is not in combat to use this ability. The effect is this unit can move up to D6 inches, and that unit cannot move into combat range as a part of that move, right? So it's like the normal redeploy from the big game, but it's now like going to cost you a potential battle tactic that might be pretty easy,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even wholly within; it's just within, right? So you just got to like toe the short edge of the board, and it's not a big board.
It's not a big board. The short edge, what's it called? Like you can only go 30 inches out, so that's 6. So like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get something within that 3
Yeah.
as long as you have that thing.
Yeah, like it's a very doable battle tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. Like I know that Kyle, we kind of gone back and forth and talked to this already, but like I feel like the vast majority of people look at these and they're like, wow, this would have been really nice if this was we got these for the big game.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how many people like a lot of content creators like Haywell were like, oh, sick, this is what I wanted, but in the real game, you know what I mean? And I love. You can meme on it a little bit about like, oh, it's tactical and fast and all that kind of stuff. But there is like a lot of tactics, especially since like the biggest fact that like perked my eyes up is when you discard a card, whether you discard it from your hand or you play it as a command or you play it as a battle tactic, it goes face up.
Yeah.
Which means you're living in a world of perfect information. There's only 12 cards. So it's pretty easy to remember, oh, take the flanks and redeploy are on the same card. And he just either either just scored it or redeployed. So like you never have to worry about a redeploy again in the game, or they can't score that battle tactic again.
Yeah. In addition, it's like you're gonna get you will as a player see every card in the entire deck. You know what I mean? Because it's like you have 3, you get rid of 3, or you keep them, or you get rid of them, or you keep them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna see every card in the deck. So at some point, somebody's gonna get that spicy countercharge.
Yeah, they haven't confirmed that it's on a card, but I would be very, very shocked if it's not on a card.
It's probably not on it's probably on like a super easy battle tactic. It's like you get to like basically exist or like intimidate the invaders or countercharge.
Yeah, it makes you actually make the choice. You mind if I walk us through the next card?
Yeah, you got it.
So we have the battle tactic is the Draconian Dais, which you complete this battle tactic if you control the Draconian objective at the end of your turn, which is pretty simple. They mention that the objectives are going to be, I believe, printed on the battle mats. So the battle mat that you're going to get in the starting box is a 30 by 22. I don't know how many objectives are on there, but they know that the objectives probably are going to be printed on the battle mat. And the battle mat has 2 sides, which we'll talk about when we get into the twist section. So that's the battle tactic, which is pretty easy. It's do the thing you want to do anyway, which is control an objective.
Yeah.
And the other one is something that's very spicy. So the command is it's a reaction to your opponent declaring a shoot ability, and it's called Go to Ground. So you use it on a friendly unit that got targeted by a shoot ability, and the effect is until the end of the phase, only unmodified hit rolls of 6 successfully hit for attacks that target that unit. However, that unit has the strike last effect this turn.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's huge. Especially if
me Caradron Overlords, I ain't afraid of your battleship.
Yeah, the many people have gone through and walked through the Vanguard and the Spearhead boxes, so like all the stuff that kind of come in that. But the one that we're going to be getting in the launch box has Giselles in it, which they revealed to us today. So those are a heavy shooting unit.
Yeah.
They said 2 attacks, wounding on 3s, 2 Ren, 2 damage, and there's 3 models, so that's like a lot of potential damage flying at you from a far away.
I mean, there's like some decent, like if you're looking at the Vanguard boxes and like the collections that are in there, you have like You have Iron Guts from. Oh, you have 2 big shooting units from Ogres. You have Bow Snakes from Daughters of Cain. You have literally all of Caradhran Overlords. You have what's it called? You have the new cannon, the Great Wheeled Cannon from Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Like there's a decent amount of shooting in Spearhead, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know how much terrain they're going to give us. They said they're going to give terrain in the box. They also announced that on May 16th, they're going to show off everything that's in the box. Which is very exciting because it's only 10 days away. So I'm super hyped to actually see it, because they mentioned like the game mat, they've mentioned the GHB cards, they mentioned the Spearhead cards. We haven't got a confirmation of all the forces, so there might be some units that they haven't shown off yet that are in there. And then the big thing for me is they said terrain. So how much terrain are we getting? Is that the terrain that we're going to be using in Spearhead only? Or like I'm confused. I own 8, like between Kill Team and Warcry boards, I own 8 boards of 30 by 22 with terrain.
You're speaking to a TO of Warcry here.
Yeah, like I have the stuff to play multiple games, so I'm excited to see what they're going to talk about when they talk about specifically terrain and what's going to go on the board, both from the box or what they recommend. But yeah, that's an extremely important command, especially when it's like kind of like a instant from Magic. That's the best way I can think of it. Yeah. It's like someone comes at you with like a strong attack and you're like, actually, no, that attack is way less.
Just kidding. You don't.
Yeah. You don't. But then you lose that very easy battle tactic. So
true. Stand on an objective. As a Gits player, pretty good. Pretty good battle tactic.
Nice. They showed us 2 more. So walk us through those.
So I'll take the raid one, right? So the battle tactic is raid Shadow Legends. Raid. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if any friendly units are wholly within enemy territory and not in combat. Weird one, but interesting. Not hard. Definitely not hard. Yeah. But alternatively, you could get the command Steel Defense. This one, crazy.
Yeah. Just better all at defense.
Just really good. Yeah, this is like a Lumineth ability used by a friendly target when they're they are targeted by the attack ability. You ignore the rend characteristic of attacks that target the unit during this phase. That's just crazy. That's just like no rend. Sorry. Can you imagine you throw that on Vanquishers and you think you're gonna absolutely wipe them and you're just like you don't.
You don't, because they have a natural 3-up save.
Natural 3-up save, 20 wounds. Good luck.
Yeah. That's going to be like, that is crazy. And again, it's one of those things that like, I'm glad that it's existing in this card format, because it kind of lets them do things like this, where it's like, this is a command you're not going to have access to all the time. You get to use it once. It's a once per game, basically, ability, which is.
And you might not have it in your hand when you need it,
Yep. Very true. Or, you know what I mean? You might like play the raid. So like, I think people are kind of sleeping on / over memeing the fact that this is going to be a heavy thinky game, even though you're only going to be playing with like 3 to 5 units.
Yeah. What's nice, like, again, this is like the happy hour of like Age of Sigmar, which I'm like so about. Yeah. Because I love cranking out a couple games during the week, but it's one of those things that I'm just like, all right, like if we want to crank out a game, we like meet at like 4:30, and then it's like, okay, by 7:30 we might be done. Like might.
Yeah, because like we usually play at a game store that's close to us, and we have a lot of people that we like to talk to at the game store.
Because we're vibing.
We're vibing, hanging out, and catching up with friends. You know what I mean? Ask them how they're doing. So like the game, it doesn't take it lasts typically longer than 3 hours. It lasts in between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
So anything that gives us like that level of tactical depth lets us play with the toys that we have, and then gets a game in shorter. Like, I'm all about it.
Dude, I can't wait till there's like round robin tournaments of this kind of like this game. Like, that's gonna be so fun. And it's like I get it. Like, it takes a lot of the teeth out of the game and like the like customization of like what you want to bring and like what units you already own. But like the idea that you can just like we can play like a 5-round tournament in half a day is like awesome.
Well, kind of. It depends. It depends on how much you give for lunch, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like 6. Like, let's say that like a normal tournament, or like
Well, I just went to a Warcry tournament where we played 4, and I think they were like an hour round. You know what I mean? We started at 11 and finished at like 7.
I mean, it's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Like, a lot of times you have like tournaments that are like 9:30 to like 7:30, or like 11 to 9.
Yeah. But the next one, we have hold ground. So you complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if there are more friendly models contesting the large terrain feature in your territory than there are enemy models contesting it. So large. I imagine we're going to get a large terrain feature and maybe potentially a couple
like
small
smalls
ones
or three smalls. Yeah.
Or like a large, because like this
It's probably
implies that there's a large in each.
It's probably a large, too small, too scatter, I would think.
Yeah.
You know, because then you
that's
have
a lot of terrain.
I mean, yeah, it depends on how big. I feel like that's, I mean, it depends on what you mean, what large is. You know what I'm saying?
It's fair.
Like if large is like a normal garrison terrain feature, you know, and like everything else is like if that's large, yeah.
That could probably be large.
And that's just one of those.
Yeah. So like there's probably like one of these per side and then two little ones.
I think there's like one of those in the middle. Like I think there's one in the middle. And then it's probably like two.
They say large terrain feature in your territory. So that implies that there's going to be one in each territory.
That is a lot of terrain.
But that's a lot of terrain.
Maybe it's just 4. Maybe there's no scatter.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I hope they're like committing
to play with 8 garrisons. So
I hope they're committing to making this box like very, very good to where like everyone wants to buy it, because like I'm still camping on Dominion boxes, waiting for them to go to like below 100 on Amazon, because they are like, it's insane how low Dominion has got from their original list price 3 years ago.
How much did it come out as?
200.
200
like back in 2021, which was before the inflation went insane, before GW started busting up their prices.
Right now it's $104.
Exactly. So I'm waiting.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points. It's a lot of important points. And if you get that, you basically only have to add, if you use the Vindictors as Vanquishers, and you only have to add the Killabow and the Chariot, and then you basically have the 2 Spearheads.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like literally like you can spend $200 and have another 2 Spearheads plus all of, the book, you know. So and so that's the hold ground, which is very easy to do turn 1. Then the other command attached to it is any combat phase. So if you're the active player, you'd be doing this first, right, as a combat ability. Or if you're the inactive player, you'll be doing it after the other person has done all of their combat abilities besides fight. So it's called Rise to the Challenge, and you pick a friendly hero to use the ability, and the effect is heal D6 to that hero.
Hot.
It's pretty nice when you have a lot of these boxes have foot heroes that have like around 6 health, you know, so.
Just zoop them back to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is that actually what the Vanguard looks like for the Cruel Boys?
Yes, it's missing the Hopgrots, and it's the they have the Killabow.
Oh my goodness!
But it's missing the Grots and the Shaman, and the
like you drop the Grots, the Shaman.
Yeah, there's no Grots, there's no Shaman, and there's no boss on foot. It's the Gnash Tooth. It's 10 Sticka Boys, 3 Shooter Boys, and then the bow, the big bow.
God, dude.
Man, questions, life choices. I
kind of want to buy a Dominion box now.
I know. It's a good deal. And a lot of stores still have them too. Because, you know, they had a lot of them. Hard to get rid of after, you know, the edition's been out.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about how we're going to be doing priority roll in this specific mission, James, if you would.
Yes. What if you told people? I
know you're looking at Amazon.
I'm sorry. I'm looking.
So they have a little title like Seizing the Initiative. It just says the player who went second in the previous battle wins the priority roll and chooses to go first. It's called Seizing the Initiative. When a player sees the initiative, they do not draw any battle tactic cards for that battle round unless they are the underdog, and the difference in victory points between the 2 players is 5 or greater. So again, it's a little bit different, like we were talking about earlier. You can, it's important to know that you just don't draw the cards. So again, at the beginning of the round, you're going to draw 3, and ideally you're spending 3 either on things that give you power in the game with the commands, or things that give you points in the game via the battle tactics. So ideally you're spending 3, drawing 3, spending 3, drawing 3, spending 3, drawing 3. So if you have this and you choose to do double, you can't do that. Now, alternatively, you could just not spend any of your cards, have 3 in your hand, choose to not discard any, take the double turn,
and then have them
play
anyway.
your 3 cards.
That's just profit.
That's profit. Or if you're losing by 5 or greater points, you can still draw. Yeah, you don't care. You're still just playing the game as much as you can and try to get back in the game.
Yeah. I like it. Is it still roll-offs, you say?
It is.
Nice.
It's still, it's at the core, it's still very similar to how the main game functions. And then that kind of leads us into the twist, because the underdog is very important when the twists come up.
Yes.
So
this one, Kyle, this one I got.
This one you got?
This one I got.
I believe in you.
So basically there's 2 in the launch box. You're going to get 2 realms that we get to play in. You know what I mean? And that dictates what twists you're going to kind of run into. So there is a small, like a mini deck for each realm, depending on which one you're playing in. There's 6 cards in each. And basically what happens is you draw a twist, and it basically is a boon or a detriment to the benefit of the underdog player. So it's either like you're increasing the effectivity of one of your models or decreasing the effectivity of one of your opponent's models.
Yep.
The ones we have here for Gairan, which is the foresty realm, is we have Grasping Vines, which is the underdog picks an enemy unit on the battlefield. If there's no underdog, then you just roll off for it. That unit is then ensnared, so you half its movement characteristic, and you can only use 1 dice while charging, which when you only have 3 units on the board, that's kind of rough.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since, again, these are drawn at the beginning of the round after the underdog is determined.
Yes.
So, like, you're going to get, there's 4 rounds, so you're at least going to have 4 of these, so you're not going to use 2 of the cards in the deck. But that is such a powerful thing to just say you move half, and you don't charge good.
Yep. You charge 1d6. So it's like, you know, if you come down, like, you can't, it doesn't affect the come down from the sky guys, though, because it has to be on the battlefield. You have to choose something that's on the battlefield.
It's true. Yeah.
But it's a very powerful mechanic, especially like this would be a very powerful mechanic in the main game, let alone when you're playing with, you know, like 2 or 3 units, like 2 or 3 key units on the battlefield, you know, or you're trying to like accomplish 3 battle tactics and you can only move like you have foot slogging dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can only move 3 inches. Like, yeah. Severely limits what you can do. The next one is Take the Land. So each player scores 1 extra victory point at the end of their turn. If there are more friendly models contesting the large terrain feature in enemy territory than enemies contesting it, right? In addition, the underdog adds 1 to rune rolls for attacks made by friendly units that target a unit contesting this terrain feature, right? So it's an interesting mechanic because it incentivizes both people to like touch big tree. But if you're touching big tree, the underdog gets to hit you better, you know? So it's kind of like, listen, if you're already winning, maybe you want to back off like that objective to kind of like mitigate damage. But if you don't, if you want to keep scoring big, you know what I mean? You're going to tango and he's got to punch up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like, it feels wordy, but the effect is pretty simple. It's you score 1 victory point extra if you're doing the thing. If you're doing the thing, the other guard gets to hit better. Yeah.
It's basically just like hey, everybody gets extra points if you stand here, but he's better.
True.
Yeah. So that's Gairan, the twist from Gairan. The other one is Akshi. Do you want to take these or do you want me to take these?
I can take them. Right, so the Akshi twist is, the first one is Let the Blood Flow, and each player scores 1 extra victory point at the end of their turn for each enemy unit that is destroyed that turn. In addition, if one of the players is the underdog, that player picks 1 friendly unit of the battlefield to be frenzied. Add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made by that unit this battle round. So go kill stuff, which is great. You want to keep encouraging people to be engaging with their opponent, and then just a free all attack.
Pretty good
for the round. Yeah, not for the phase.
Pretty good if you shoot if you shoot and fight. Pretty good.
Well, it does say combat attacks. I'm just saying you jump into them, you fight, and then on their turn they fight you back. You fight again. You know what I mean?
It's pretty nice.
So the other one is Read the Smoke. This is something I'm excited about. Kind of like this. The underdog picks 1 objective on the battlefield. If there's no underdog, the players roll off and the winner picks. The objective is read then smoke until the end of the battle round. Only unmodified hit rolls of 6 successfully hit for attacks that target a unit contesting objective. So it's not a specific unit. It's the whole. It's like, say you have a unit or an enemy unit that's a big hitter, and they jump into you, and you have like 1 or 2 rats left. You slap this down and hope they don't roll 6s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be hitting them, but they're not going to be hitting you. And if you get to pick that, that's pretty advantageous. Like if you're just defending.
Yeah, it's literally home base and tag. Mm-hmm. You're like, I'm touching home base. Don't touch me.
Don't touch that. But yeah, that is basically how our cards are going to function in the Spearhead format, which is pretty hype. Like you said, I think a lot of people are pretty hyped about this. We're pretty hyped about this. I like the way this functions.
Yeah, I can't wait to just be like, it's also like, it's one of those things that it's much more, again, we're both adults, right? And there's like people that like, I feel like the vast majority of people that enjoy this game are adults, You have full-time jobs, you have like other responsibilities, whether it's like kids and or pets and or significant others and or whatever, right? Like being able to just like, be like, I'm just going to go. It's like, it's the equivalent of like, I'm going to get a beer after work. You know what I mean? Like you roll in, play a game, maybe play a second game, head home. You're home by like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Yeah, 100%. Like I am like big James Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that there's no choice because it's just easy.
What's in your hand?
Yeah. So it's what's in your hand and it's easy and it's like it's dynamic in the way that it's random. Like I wanted like battle tactics to be randomly drawn. Like that's the format I wanted going into like 4. And it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like I think honestly, if I had to like put my like, tinfoil hat on for a second, I think they're actually just play testing like a vastly different format with this. And if it's successful, I could see them implementing it in like AOS 5.
Yeah. Especially with all the hype that they put around the whole module system, where they could just sub this module in for,
awesome.
we could sub this module in for these other things.
Yeah.
We'll definitely see how that goes, but it's gonna feel a lot specifically more like Magic in this case, because we have cards. But it is. I've been playing a lot of Commander because my wife is a fan of playing Commander. We have a good friend group that we play every week. But I've had people. Where I'm like, I get to play my commander, and they're going to come onto the battlefield and change the game in my favor. And someone will be like, I counterspell that. You know what I mean? So this is going to feel a lot like that, where it's like,
you're like,
I'm going to shoot. Like, all right, this is the thing I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot you with my shooting unit. And they're like, actually, no.
Pop smoke.
Either like we're popping smoke or I'm going to ground. You know what I mean? Going to ground, or there's going to be a lot of that where it's like, do they have it in their hand? Do they not have it in their hand? So we'll see how that plays out, but I'm overall excited for the card systems.
Yeah. Well, I just also feel like it's like if you make these abilities, like it's going to create a scenario where like some of these abilities are so strong that it almost doesn't matter if there's like an imbalance in War Scrolls. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because if you're an underdog, you get all these boons where it's like it doesn't matter if I'm hitting you with a goblin. If I'm hitting you with a goblin, I get like +1 to wound. You're shaking your boots. That's a lot of attacks,
Yeah. I think that is people can, inevitably compare this to Combat Patrol, because Combat Patrol for 40K is basically this, right? They tried to do this with 40K and it failed pretty hard. And I think that's because they didn't change the game enough. They didn't change the game enough for it to play, right? Yeah. So here, like, they have a bunch of different boxes that are just randomly thrown together. Nobody ever considered what the rules were going to be when they put these boxes together. It was like what models fit in the box and what kind of like fits together and looks good, right?
Yeah.
They basically made the game so that everyone has the opportunity to like either raise or lower the power level of the models in their box depending on what options they have at the time. Plus changing a little bit of the War Scrolls, which we're going to get into here soon. Because that we've covered kind of like how the cards work, and I apologize, we were supposed to start with the other one first, but the cards are the exciting one, IMO. So let's get into how they introduce us to how our specific like rules are going to work for our armies. So they showed us they started talking about all of the boxes. So they just kind of have some pretty art of showing the new Cities of Sigmar box, the Flesh Eater Quartz box that have just came out. They also showed us the Vanguard boxes for the Seraphon and the Gits, which now currently both of us own both boxes.
Yeah.
You've kind of collected it piecemeal as it goes away
Yeah.
or as it comes along.
Yeah. Secondhand models
Yeah.
are key.
I have 3 more little goblins to give you.
Oh,
Yeah, that aren't like, they're not perfect stabas, but they
that's
will
perfect.
fit. They
They'll
will
stand
be a
there.
goblin on a 25 millimeter base
That's all I
that
need.
will
Yeah.
be there. Especially since they confirmed that there's not going to be like banners, musicians, champions.
Yeah.
Like those rules don't exist in Spearhead, so
They're
it
just
doesn't matter what
goblins.
they're just goblins. So it doesn't matter what models you have in there, which is nice. But they showed us what the reinforcements keyword is. And
Yeah.
that is an ability that brings a unit back from being dead, which is important considering that a lot of these guys only have 3 to 5 units.
Yeah. And some of them are highly killable, like clan rats and goblins.
Yeah, clan rats and stabas.
Yeah.
So it is a once per turn movement phase ability, and you can use this on someone that has the reinforcements keyword and has been destroyed this game. And the effect is you set up an identical replacement unit on the battlefield, wholly within friendly territory, wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, and not in combat. Each reinforcement can only be replaced once. Replacement units cannot themselves be replaced. Perfect. I love that they also give us a little symbol that shows us on the war scroll which ones can and cannot be replaced, as well as the reinforcements keyword. Good. Love it. Covered all their bases here.
Yeah, it's nice that it's like right up in the corner too. Like if you scroll down, and not to jump around a little bit,
You're
but
good.
If you scroll down, they give us a couple war scrolls, right? The one that has the reinforcement little icon is the clan rats.
Yeah. Do you want to walk us through the clan rats?
Yeah,
war
sure.
Scroll?
So, it's very similar to an Age of Sigmar, like the normal Age of Sigmar war scroll, but you have top left corner, you have your health characteristic, move characteristic, save characteristic, and control characteristic. So it's going to be the same control score that we have in current Age of Sigmar, which is nice. 5-up save, not great for you little rat boys, but they come back. You get 20 of them and they come back, right?
Yeah,
but
that's
you do
40
have
health.
Yeah,
Total.
40 health. It's a lot. It's 40 health. What's it called? But they're designed to die and then come back and then die again. But they have the special ability at the end of your turn. You can return D3 slain models to this unit, so they are somewhat self-recurring.
Yep. Also, it's any turn.
Yeah, so it's like listen, like if they're just getting peppered a little bit every turn, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Again, nothing to sniff at with the rusty blades. It's 2 attacks, 4s, 5s, and then 1 damage. So it's not super interesting. They don't make there's no like unit champion keyword. It's just infantry reinforced. Infantry reinforcements. Very, very simple.
Yeah, that is the big difference. So I like that they say Spearhead War Scroll on it, but also they changed the box around the health, save, control, and move characteristic to like it's more square, which like tells you perfectly, hey, this is for Spearhead, not for the big game. So you're good to go. They also said that this is basically the exact same War Scroll for Age of Sigmar. However, it has a reinforcements keyword, whereas the real one in Age of Sigmar will have the crit auto wound ability on those weapons.
Yeah.
So there's 20 of them. They can all fight within 3 inches. So that's going to be rolling 40 dice, hitting on 4s, critting auto wounding.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good for rats. That's better than we can ask them for, most things. So
it's like 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
From a chaff unit.
Yeah. Less damage, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the next one here is the Magister dude. 14-inch movement on a 22-inch bar. Are you insane?
This guy can go anywhere he wants.
This man's gonna get into your house and put your kids to bed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The hell?
They showed us this war scroll specifically to show us how magic is going to work in this game. Because they said there's no magic command or battle tactic module. So basically, the only magic this guy's going to be able to cast is the one that's on his war scroll, which is in the hero phase, Bolt of Change. Declare, pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Make a casting roll 2d6. On a 6-up, inflict D3 mortal wound to the target. If any models are slain by this ability, you can pick a friendly Zangor unit wholly within 18 of this unit and return 1 slain model to that Zangor unit. Nice. So it's what's it called? It's not the Mystic Shield. It's Arcane Bolt with some little flavor that potentially can bring back one little Zangor model. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
You just shoot somebody with magic.
Yeah.
You know what's something I never noticed about this dude?
What's that?
Man's got bird feet. You ever noticed that
Yeah,
before?
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
I've never messed around with Zinch.
Neither have I. I knew they have bird. I just thought those were people though. That man's got bird legs.
That man's got bird feet. Well, that's why he can move 14 inches and fly.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's like actually wild. It's going to be very hard to plan for that. And he's got, I don't think he's got crazy. I mean, he's got not terrible weapon profiles either.
Yeah, he has a shooting attack, which, I mean, it's all D3 damage, so it's very swingy.
It's 1 damage or more.
Yeah, that's true. No, very chaosy, but most of his things are either hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, or hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s.
Mm-hmm.
It is this disc attacks.
Big disc energy.
Big disc energy. But yeah, it's definitely going to be that move 14 and the fly keyword, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, just sniping objectives is going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see like what the war scrolls are for the rest of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they also talked about like the battle traits, like we mentioned. You'll get to pick one of the 2 battle traits as well as 4 of the enhancements. They didn't show off any enhancements, but they did show us the battle trait for Yndrasta's Spearhead, which is Signs of the Storm. So Yndrasta and the Annihilators are not set up during the deployment phase. Instead, from the 3rd battle round onwards, you can use the following ability. So it's called Lightning Strike Arrival. It's in your movement phase. The effect is set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 6 inches from all enemy units.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm. So turn 3 or 4, you can set Yndrasta and the Annihilators, which are pretty big hitty boys, up for 6 inches. That's a pretty easy charge.
Lads. Yeah, there's no casting required.
Yep.
6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Huh. I'm definitely curious if this, they mentioned if you choose between one of 2 of the battle traits, if this is one of them, what's the other one? Because this one kind of has a pretty heavy limiting factor on it, which is you don't get to play with, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the box. So like you don't get to play with 2 of your 5 units for half the game.
To be fair, like the Seraphon box, which you're also a proud owner of, only has 3 units.
Yep. Yeah, so that's why I've been saying 3 to 5. I don't know if there's any boxes that have less than 3. I don't think so. Yeah, it'd be weird to have a box with just 2 units.
Just one guy. It's just like one Mega Gargant.
They did confirm, speaking of Gargants, they confirmed that they will be able to play in this game mode. There will be the Man Crusher mob. That will be the one box that the Gargants get. So you get 3 boys. Little boys, which I'm excited for because that's a 3D printer's dream. It's just like, hey, print 3 of the same thing, throw it on a board.
3D printer go Bert.
3D printer go Bert, and then you have another faction to play with.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
No, this is going to be a fun game, and yeah, I am interested. Maybe like one Scions of the Storm, one is like I'm currently elaborating on the current game because I forget. Did they give us both like battle traits for the new your army faction, Stormcast Eternals, in like that article that came out like a month ago?
They gave us all of them, which were technically 4, realistically actually 2.
Yeah. What was the other good one?
They gave you you can put it in the sky. You can come down from the sky. The old hero ability of Finest Day Ever, Best Day Ever, and then shoot, I'm forgetting the 4th. There was another one.
Is that the infantry?
It was the command ability where you can bring something back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's like I could see that being a thing where you're like the unit of vanquishers goes down, or like there's a unit and you just like hit the button and they come back. Yeah,
but you get to play with Yndrasta from round 1.
Yep.
Because that's unless the Signs of the Storm, unless they have another thing where it's like, hey, Yndrasta and the Annihilators still don't get set up at all, but you get to choose between Lightning Strike Arrival where they come in with 6, or they start maybe one turn earlier on the board somewhere else, and you get a different ability.
Yeah. 6 is pretty spicy.
6 anywhere, and this is very spicy. So, I'm super excited about this overall. I think that's everything. Is there anything else that they talked about that we have not discussed, and we can kind of get into more of our thoughts.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that they've put out that we haven't really talked about. I'm just like kind of scrolling through both articles right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't like. I think we really covered anything. I can tell you confidently, this is like my dream of like maybe I dip my toe in another army. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just get a little box. I just get a little box. What's one little box? What's one little box? I play in another game. It's not even the same game.
Yeah. Well, like what's it called? You can like say you win a tournament, you have some store credit.
It's basically free. They're paying me to get it.
They're paying me to get it. I might as well. Yeah, it's I currently own, if you count the Man Crusher mob that I'm 3D printing with my water elementals, I currently own 4. Will own 6 when I eventually get this box. So like my goal before the edition come out is to build and paint my boxes that I have. That way they're ready to go day one, and I can play with those day one. They also confirmed, again, full free rules when the box releases. Everyone's going to get the rules online, which is sick. I love that. Hopefully it's in the app. I don't think they've mentioned the app yet, but hopefully it's in the app. The other thing that they mentioned was in the core book that you're going to get in the start box, all of the rules are going to be in there for both the Spearhead game format, but also all of your army rules, which is pretty sick. And then these cards are going to obviously be in the launch box as well as the GHB, which is pretty hype again. And I'm curious, you'll definitely be able to buy the cards later on, hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully they don't delay it too long.
Yeah.
But with the amount of, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people buying these boxes, so you'll probably be able to find those cards online on eBay pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, I got a fun question for you.
Okay.
I just pulled up the Vanguard boxes, and I know that you're the proud father of a few of them.
Okay.
If you had to pick one other to like get into this game, is there any that you're like interested in like dipping your toe into?
As in like my personal opinion, or like ones that I don't currently own?
Both. Give me one. Like, what's your favorite one to start the game with, and then what's one that like you don't necessarily have right now that you'd like to try?
Yeah. If you said, hey, you have to pick one, I would go with the Death Skelly Vampire one.
The Soulblight Gravelords?
Soulblight Gravelords, because you get a lot of skeletons, you get some vampires, you get some monsters. I don't know if you get cavalry in that one.
Yeah, you get Blood Knights. You get 5 Blood Knights. You get 5 Blood Knights. You get a bunch of the Grave Guard. And you get 3 Flayers. Mm-hmm. That's actually a little confusing to me because the Flayers are Flesh Eater Courts. But you get 3 of those, it looks like. And then 1 Vampire Lord.
Yeah. I love all of that. I lost my train of thought. But the other one that would be like,
the Ardeon.
The Yndras, like, so of units that have like the model is cool, and I want to own a lot of these, and I want to see a lot of these on the tabletop, but their rules are garbage. Yndrasta is number 1.
Yes.
Rest in peace, my Yndrasta. Number 2 is the Blood Knights. Like, I've seen so many people get into that army specifically to play Blood Knights, and they're just garbage.
They're just not good.
They're just not good. You know, compared to running, massive blocks of skeletons.
Yes.
So
that are just better, or like Grave Guard that are just like output.
Mm-hmm. That's the box I would get if I had to get any box that I didn't currently own.
Mm-hmm.
And one that I currently own, I kind of like the Stormcast box.
He's a Stormcast boy. You're just a Stormcast lad. You know?
Yeah, it's either that or the Dinosaurs. The Dinosaurs box is good, but I also don't like having only 3 units. I think that's kind of limiting.
Yeah, definitely.
Personally. But what about you? If you, what's another box that you would get or / recommend to another person?
I don't know. I've already told you that I'm like, this is like I may use this as like an intro drug for like one. I want like my wife to try this game.
Mm-hmm.
I want like, I have a close friend who like is somewhat interested in this game. But I would say if I was to grab one, my only problem with I've always wanted to try Nighthaunt because I like the little ghosty boys, but it doesn't have any Bladegeist evidence in it. And
Which is the current hotness.
And that's what I want to play with. I like that. So I'd probably go Sylvaneth. because I just really like that box. You get
Yeah.
the what's it called? You get the
Dank Thu.
you get you get a Tree Lord Ancient, you get 3 hunters, Kurnoth hunters, and then you get 5 revenants, like Spite Swarm revenants or whatever they're called, where they're like teleporty like chaff units. Like I just feel like that would be a really fun army to play. And then you get the branch witch, so you get some casting. But like honestly, a lot of these are really cool. Like again, I'm excited obviously to play Gits. The I got 3 of my Trog boys like bumping in the back, surrounded by little goblins. Dude, I'm telling you that the Orclands one looking kind of hot. Like the Gnash Tooth one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I do like that they kind of folded the starter box into. I'm sad the Vindictors. It's Vanquishers, not Vindictors. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I guess to encourage you to, because it literally would just be the box plus a chariot. So yeah. I guess I gotta encourage you to buy Vanquishers in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but why would you do that if you already have Vindictors?
I don't know.
Yeah, you could also just run Vindictors. Like you could buy the box, play the game, and just be like, these are Vanquishers.
These are Vanquishers. They're on 40mm base. They literally have the exact same armor. It's just a different weapon loadout. So,
but really cool. Like I'm excited.
Oh yeah, yeah. Overall, I think we are very hyped for this. We have a lot of people who are around the like exterior of the hobby. Again, I have a lot of people who play Magic, and I think that this game plays very Magic-esque now that everything is an ability. So I think it'll be much easier to teach them how the game works now. I also like that they took the most complicated modules, or the modules that would be like kind of confusing a little bit with like the battle tactics, the commands, and magic. And they're like it's still there, but it's now either on your war scroll card or on the battle tactic cards that you're drawing.
They've distilled it into like an ability. Like everything has kind of become an ability.
Yeah, they distilled it into, if it's still there, but it's now physically in front of you on some kind of card, which I enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice. It's nice that it's not like it's far less convoluted. And again, it's similar to what we said already. Like everything is kind of being brought to the same level so that it's when it reads or when it plays, like you only have to worry about a couple things and it's right in front of you. You know, It's nice. I don't know. Cities of Sigmar is also kind of looking hot.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that I have 1-page rules files, and I've 3D printed a couple of the knights because I really like the way that their knights look, I would get this. But they're kind of a horde army. And I've told myself that I'm never going to buy horde armies because you'd have to get this because it comes with 5 horses, the knight, the cannon, and then a 10-man unit of steel helms. And that's it, right? Or do you get the priest?
And then you get the iron wield as well. The great cannon.
Yeah. Yeah. So the cannon, 5 knights, the leader
Marshal.
on horse, and then the
steel helms. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, in the old game, when Battle Line existed, you'd basically have to buy 3 of these just to get started.
Which is crazy when it's $140.
Yeah. Yeah, they're one of the nicest things about these is like they do technically save you money. Like if technically. Yeah, they technically are cheaper. So I always liked boxes like the Gloomspite one where you could just buy a couple of them and you'd be kind of good to go. You can kind of do that with the Seraphon, and I've already got 2. I bought one and like build it into a Carnosaur. One gives you options to build into the Troglodyte. And like they have a bunch of different options with the Carnosaur kit that like lets you build alternative models, so you don't feel like you're just like building the same exact model every time.
Yeah, it's also nice you get like 1 reinforced unit of Kroxigor and then a 20-man blob of warriors.
Literally, that's why I was like, well, I'm automatically going to get 2 because I want a 20-man blob of warriors and I want a reinforced unit of Kroxigor to like potentially cause damage at one point in time. So I'm a big fan of boxes that you can buy twice and you get your value.
Yeah, like they're all usable models.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the other abilities. Like, I'm excited to see like what the other battle traits are. I'm excited to see the enhancements because that's going to be interesting. Because like the Andrasta box has 2 heroes. They have a Knight Vexilor with the Banner of Apotheosis. So I guess you could put an enhancement on that guy, unless there's some stipulations where you can put enhancements on non-hero characters. But I assume it's going to be all heroes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see when they start giving like parsing out the rules for individual factions and like putting the lists together.
Yep, definitely. I'm just excited that it's going to be relatively easy to get into. You get one box. The rules are free.
Are you
They're
ready to
probably
go?
always going to
One
be
box,
free.
no building anything else. You're good.
Yeah.
You pay one price, you can play the game.
Yep. One something Haywo pointed out that I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like, I'm surprised that Games Workshop isn't touting this as like the, hey, if you don't like to build lists, this is the perfect game for you.
Oh yeah.
Like if you just want to rock up with like a pre-made deck basically and play the game, like you can do that without like worrying about, because like I like the ability to build my army and make my army the way that I like it, right? But it does feel really bad when it's like, hey, did you bring long strikes or
Yeah.
fulminators? Because if you didn't, you don't get to play the game. Basically,
You just lose.
You're choosing to lose at that point because you're not bringing the damage units, or you're doing some weird spam where you're bringing a bunch of banners and dealing D3 damage to the entire board like 10 times, or like dropping like 7 annihilator units to deal a crap ton of damage. Like I hate that when like the rules are imbalanced enough that it's like you can technically take whatever you want, but you really should take these other things. Same thing with the Blood Knights and the Skeletons.
It kind of punishes you to play to what you want. Like everything should be viable. Like there can be things that are stronger, but everything should be viable in terms of competitive play.
Yeah.
I'm a Spider-Man. Spiders suck. They're terrible, but I'm always taking at least 2 because I love them.
Yeah. You play them well where you make them do the role that they're good at, which is standing on points and being a massive disc of don't come here. You know what I mean? Especially with like deep strikes and stuff like that. So we skipped over it because we don't like reading the article to you guys, but they said it's one of the most play tested games that they've ever made because everybody just liked playing it and it was very short to get reps out of. I think that's you know what I mean. We'll see, but James, do you think it's going to be balanced?
I think there's going to probably be like 2 or 3 factions that like are far and away better. But I think that there's enough power in like the underdog mechanics and like the twists that it's not going to feel as oppressive as like certain factions are in other James Workshop games where you're just like, oh, I just lose because they brought this and I don't have an answer,
Yeah.
I lose because they brought knights and I brought nothing with strength 8,
Yeah, true,
like,
true.
I don't think anything's gonna feel like that. I think it's gonna be very much like, okay, like I have like there's this army plays very well into my army, so like I'm immediately on the back foot, but I just need to make sure that I lose hard early so I get all those sweet bonus points and buffs that I can hit him back when I'm like able to,
Yeah, I think like the cards that we've looked at are basically upscaled versions of the abilities that we have, and I think the game is going to be you're going to win or lose the game depending on how well you play those cards.
Oh yeah,
IMO.
Yeah, that's your economy.
Yeah, either getting points or like using the command in a very specific way that swings the tide in your favor. So I don't like that the spotlight's kind of taken away from the models, but I think it kind of has to in this sort of scale of game. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, well, which box is better? Like we've seen in Combat Patrol, where multiple channels that run battle reports have like, we tried to do Combat Patrol content, but it sucks because it's like one box is just way better than the other one. The specific thing it wants to do, which is kill and stand on points, because they didn't change the game at all. And in this, at least, there's enough. Like it feels like there's enough. Like no, you don't mechanic to at least make it a playable game.
Yeah. So if something is like, let's say there's like, let's say the Caradon Overlords are like crazy because like you just can't get to them and they can just shoot you off the board, and you're just like, well, I can, at least see I can stop it for one turn. You know what I mean? As I get close to them.
I will say one thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see any battle traits or mechanics or enhancements that mess with the cards.
Yes.
So I don't want any mechanics that say go into your graveyard and put it back in your hand.
Yes, I agree. I like how final the 12 card thing is.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you're playing everything correctly, you should get every card in the game,
Yeah. I also love that it's only 12 and it's a perfect mirror match. I don't like. I would hate like if they did this, but it's like, oh, and then you have faction cards.
Yeah,
I would
that would
hate
suck.
that.
That would literally
I
suck.
would hate that
Yeah.
so much.
It's just stratagems again.
It's just stratagems. Don't do it.
Don't do it
Here's
to me.
the 82 stratagems you got to memorize,
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna lose.
It's like, oh wait, actually, I got shot, and it's a Wednesday, and it's kind of humid outside, so that I can use the stratagem to get like a windbreaker that allows me to get +1 to save in specifically this scenario.
Yep.
The worst. Literally the worst game interaction.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of with like the boxes, like Yndrasta is a monster hunter in the lore. She's gonna have anti-monster on one of her weapons. Probably Thengavir.
But there's not a lot of monsters. It's too small.
The Carnosaur is.
It's true.
So it'd be one of those things where it's like there might be some imbalance with like, oh, this box is specifically built to do this. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
There's a lot of cav. There's not a lot of monsters.
It's true. Yeah, we'll
There's a lot
definitely
of
see
cav and bows.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how like balanced this whole system is. But I have hopes. I have high hopes.
I also have high hopes. I'm hyped. Like I'm honestly a little. If I'm gonna be real, I'm a little more hyped about this currently than I am for fourth. Like I can't wait to play fourth, and I'm big. Like I play the big game to play the big game, and I like to play the big points. But like this is kind of hot.
Yeah, I have no illusions that this is going to replace.
No.
You know what I mean? The big game. Just because the big game is the big game, right? But I'm much more excited about this than Combat Patrol. Combat Patrol definitely felt like a game that I would play like once or twice to like understand the rules and get into it.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely feels like, easy to play, hard to master, where it's like there's a lot more skill expression in this because of it's all going to be about how you use your economy with the cards.
I like it.
Yeah. So I'm very hyped. I know James is very hyped. We're very hyped. We'll definitely like try to do a battle report or something at some point in time with this, specifically because we can do it anywhere, everywhere. Rob is kind of like Rob the Honest Wargamer is definitely one of those guys that's like, listen, you GW, you've fed me enough BS in the past. I'm not going to believe you on this until you show me it. Right. But he's like, I do love the concept of you could do a pub crawl with this, where it's like
that'd be
you
so
and your buddy pack up your models, pack up your board, go to a pub, set up on a table, play a game, go to the next one, set up, play a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, like, be kind of sick, like whatever it's called. Like if you could do like it's like you could do like beer battles where it's like if you win or lose, like you owe drinks or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like you can like recur a model, but you have to finish your drink or something like that. Like
oh my god,
yeah,
that'd be crazy if you did like an extra twist deck, but it was all drink related.
That'd be
you
fun.
Know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like that. Or like maybe the commands have extra like command point costs, but the command point costs are like
like a drinks
or
something like
or
that.
shots or something like that.
That'd be so fun.
That'd be super fun. There's a lot you can do with this. I'm excited. Like I know we're like kind of high on the hopium right now, but there's a lot to hope for.
Yeah.
Anything else? Want to talk about Spearhead related?
Nah, I would literally just be like, at the whim of James Workshop being like, I'm so excited for the game, I'm going to give you money.
I know. I haven't there's no way to pre-order the box yet, but I have thought about pulling out money and giving it to our store owner friend and being like,
hey, whenever this is available, you know who you're talking to.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. I'll be first in line. Just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.